We on the island somewhere, we sipping Bay Breeze under palm trees. We's men busting pistols, MBPs. Oh, you ain't bring yours with you? Then see me squeeze, get it together, whatever. I'm in this game to gain fame forever. However, no more rain, control your weather, for worse the better.
No matter what the time, find me in the clear state of mind. I might take a puff and sip some wine, but other than that I'm fine. I'm genuine, so ride my pony and get down like Tony. Somebody said I'm bony, jealous cause they girl wanna bone me. Let the money grip, yo, you'll be lonely. Homie, don't you sweat it, my objective is reckless. I'ma shine and leave your favorite rapper breathless. Catch this.
You check the tag on my leather, it's handmade 100% Venice suede, and we tight like extensions on a trick with braids. And
take it to your man, I'm having a cake sale, $15 a gram. Fish scale, nigga, bam. Drive a head banana any manner. I bring drama, noise, funk like Savion. May I play on?
Sean Hamilton and Peter Pankey, aka Lord Tariq and Peter Gunz, active since 1996. Today's feature is an American hip-hop duo from the Bronx, New York that made a wave in the late 90s, mainly behind their classic song Deja VU-Uptown Baby and their highly anticipated debut album Make It Rain that released December 1997 and June 2nd, 1998 respectively. Going back and studying the Lord Tariq and Peter Gunz story takes you to a time hip-hop music and hip-hop acts crossing over into the music industry was really like trial and error. A lot more is understood when it comes to the business side of making music today, and things like independence and artist rights have been much more figured out than when Gunz and Tariq had their shot in the business. It's an unfortunate tale of two people that connected in the rawest and most hip-hop way possible at the time, face to face and in competition. The two both being from the same area, even though attended different high schools, always knew of each other's skills through word of mouth that in our school, this guy was the nicest, and in theirs, they had a guy just as good. Of course, this led to a battle and clash of styles, Peter being more what you would call mainstream, and Tariq straight street. The battle lasted a short time and without a clear winner, but what was quickly realized is how much chemistry the two had and how much better they would be should they connect styles and represent the Bronx as a whole instead of on their own. Fast forward years later, the two would finally be focused on music enough to come together and create a hit, which would be Uptown Baby, and give the Bronx an anthem they haven't had since KRS-One and the 1986 South Bronx. It was a trying time for both MCs, going through their music not panning out like they thought it would, all while close people around them are advising to try something else, to get a job, or join the service, anything to make something of themselves other than the music, which was a grind at the time. Sticking with it, they finally got their big break years later and was thought to have a bright future in music, being around for a long time and finally giving the Bronx their wave back in rap. Sadly, they had to learn unfortunate but important lessons of the way the industry works, and it stunted their growth. Probably the most important was that everything in business matters, even when it comes to ownership and rights to the music you had a hand in creating. They learned those the hard way, and it cut their careers shorter than expected. Let's talk about it. Salute to Maroon 92 for this request. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Lord Tariq and Peter Gunz are both rappers from the Bronx, New York. You've heard the high school story of how they met, but may not know that it was Peter's sister that actually introduced the two, since she and Tariq dated and later down would actually get married. Peter was a part of an 11-man group called the Gun Runners when his sister told him her boyfriend can rap and they should check him out. Hesitant because it was already so many heads on the mic.
Pause. Monetize. Oh God, that was crazy. Big pause. Big pause.
They loaned an ear to his rhymes and quickly saw that he was probably the best of them all. They came together as a group around 96 officially and began in search of a way to make it out, or in, referring to the industry. Both have actually been rapping since the early 80s, with Peter recalling him writing his first rhymes in 1980, giving a better understanding of how long the grind took to finally have something in hip-hop to call their own in 1997. And own is a strong word when it comes to this duo. That one song, Deja Vu, should have changed their life, but little they knew, the road was much longer and a lot more treacherous than they imagined. Stunt number 1, a sample can change your life.
Uptown baby, we get down baby, up on the crown baby.
One of the major problems hip-hop faced back in its infancy and walking stages was it went away from the DJ-produced tracks quickly into sampling funk and soul records in the 80s that came back to bite a lot of artists in the pockets in due time. With so many producers in competition to find the next big record, many turned to sampling, and it was genius. It gave you a piece of an older record that worked, mixed with new flavor of an up-to-date artist. Nothing but street freestyle rap was working for Tariq and Peter until producer K&S came to the studio with a record heavily sampled from Steely Dan's 1977 Black Cow. Ironic because Lord Tariq and Peter Gunz, unbeknownst to them, would become just that. A black cash cow for the credited writers Walter Becker and Donald Reagan of Steely Dan for their hit song Deja Vu. When Gunz and Tariq's version dropped in '97, it immediately went through the roof and became a lifesaver for both artists. Peter already with a son and a baby on the way, and Tariq not clear what to do with his life, juggling the streets and music. The record was a smash and took New York by storm and eventually all over the world, charting on multiple music charts and eventually went platinum. It gave both guys what they needed as far as short-term feel of success and stability, but it took away just about everything else, including the group's future in and out the studio. Problem had nothing to do with the song making millions of dollars, but who were those millions owed to? In order to clear and release the song as is, with their sample clearly throughout, band Steely Dan requested $115,000 up front, 100% publishing, and writer credit for the song. I'm not sure who, in their right mind, agreed to the negotiations of that proposal, but that has to be one of the worst outcomes in hip-hop history. Basically, Steely Dan said, "We want everything, even our names on it forever, even though you wrote the hook and verses. But you guys are free to go out there and perform it, make it hot on the charts, and bring all that money back to us. In return, you'll get your little fame and a couple of dollars from the interviews, sponsorships, and crumbs on the side. But for life, your part in this creation is ours." That made their debut album basically a loss, with only that song able to perform financially. Whatever else they got was split down the middle between the two rappers, who had to pay everyone else involved in pushing that song and album. It would be their only album the two would ever have together. Stunt number 2, frustration and separation. After the release of their Billboard Top 10 album, including the hit song taken from them, Lord Tariq and Peter Gunz understandably became frustrated with the music industry. Partially to their own fault, not having correct business in order before the creation of their hit. The album, although having charting success, was a loss for the duo, having to pay the heavy-hitting features on the project like Fat Joe, Cameron, Sticky Fingers, and Corrupt. Those frustrations led to the group separating and would never put another album or single out after their song We Ball failed to carry them. In '99, the separation came not even a year later after their debut's release. Lord Tariq basically disappeared from the music industry scene. Other than a few featured tracks, Peter went on to have a not-so-successful solo career, never putting out a solo album. Had they owned and were able to financially benefit off their debut album and hit song, Who knows what that could have done for their future success and remaining together. Stunt number 3, unable to create more hits. Creating hit songs is not easy, and most musical acts never come across one in their lifespan. To have one finally, then it all be taken away, was a big blow for Tariq and Peter. What hurt them even more was that they couldn't create another hit to save them, especially seeing as they parted ways so soon after the disappointment. Their song We Ball was supposed to be that, but with a lackluster hook and push from the label, We Ball fell flat on its face, and nothing they did after was good enough to pick them up. While they remained family, being together just wasn't feasible any longer. Both men, being in their full-grown years and past their hit-making prime, went on to other things to stay alive, like reality TV and eating however they could. All in all, it's sad how that one song turning out the way it did affected these MCs forever. Steely Dan became rich off that song, while the same riches apparently never made its way to Lord Tariq and Peter Gunz. They're known for creating a classic, but also a cautionary lesson into the business of hip-hop. They took the arrows for the future, and unfortunately, that was the extent of their contributions. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, their growth was stunted. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.